Hello, hello. Welcome to your reading. Let's get into it. All right. Hold on. Where the there. Scratchy ears. So I don't even know who I'm doing right at this current time. I do not know. I just need to hit record so I would start. All right. Let's see where we at. Where we at? Okay. 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 Go off camera a little bit. All right. Alrighty. First of all, love to see this. So this is rare. Usually I know nothing about charts I'm doing about the people, so I obviously know you. Well, I've never met in person, but we've talked and we're homies. Um, but still, I'm gonna try to, I pride myself on being completely objective, and I mean, I know what you do for a living, obviously. The best tarot or the best tarot person in Romania. But yeah, okay. So, Sun Square Moon, we have that in common. Um, ooh, you got that. Yeah, okay. So you have so you are a genius. Either a genius or very, very close to that point. You tell me. Every single person I met with a Kazemi, Sun Mercury Kazemi, is a genius. I have that. I'm a genius. And I think like yeah, every single person. And like I'm a very good judge of intelligence, and I mean that not just in the I a lot of times it is the IQ sense, but like that's kind of a bizarre judgment of intelligence. But just overall, yeah. And what's cool about yours is that you have Mercury retrograde natally, so yeah. What's in your third house? Oh, damn, Uranus. Okay. Yeah, so is there any Chiron? Yeah, yeah, that's it. No, 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 it's in Scorpio. Okay. Yeah, so interesting is that it may not have been in that school type of way. Um, I'm sure I mean, if you were interested in it, that it wasn't, so hard, but a lot of times Mercury retrograde people, they're way more abstract minded. And Mika, stop. Come on, Izzy. I need your help. Um, yeah. So Mercury retrograde is yeah, it's an indicator of someone who is more right brained, who's thinking more from that that perspective, from that intuitive place. Um, and it's actually very interesting on a karmic level. It is related to someone who has essentially there's been something wrong with how they've with the way they've been thinking, whether it's about the world, about themselves, or something wrong, imbalance, better word, with how they've been. I'm just getting with how they've been, communicating. So in this life, they, the first, whatever, 25, 30, not really a set number, but the start of life until they kind of become an adult, a lot of times, not always, they can be more shy. And they're very, very, very analytical. And yeah, yeah. So what's cool is that you have it in the Kazemi. So let me explain to you Kazemi. So Sun, Mercury, so a lot of people have Sun conjunct Mercury, right? That's not necessarily a good thing. Sometimes people with that they overly identify with their with like their ego and their intelligence, or their kind of cognitive process is too linked, so they can become very dogmatic. And think about Mercury as the planet of communication, the planet of thought. It gets burnt by the sun if it's conjunct, so it's actually called combust. Now, what you're asking, what's a Kazemi? That's when the sun and Mercury are so close, right? 11.44, 11.36, that it's so fucking close that it that the Mercury becomes a superpower. So it's like the Mercury enters the core of the sun, and the sun illuminates and blows up that planet, makes that planet um extremely strong, right? This is actually something cool. This is dope. So this is something that me and you actually have in common. Because I have mine in Pisces, right? So that's not a strong Mercury. Not that Mercury and Pisces people aren't smart, but like um it's actually it's kind of similar to having it in retrograde. So it can kind of create like I wouldn't say a hidden genius, but it can be it can kind of like the more people get to know you, the more they realize how fucking smart you are, essentially. Not that you come off not smart. That's not the point I'm making. It's just that it's not like one of these kind of like scientific people, or not even, these just very logically like Elon Musk type, where you just like meet them, you're just like, okay, that guy's a smart motherfucker. But yeah, so yeah, so the Mercury becomes extremely strong. It can be very, very boring to be around a lot of people, and especially since you have Uranus in your third house, which gives you a very, very like almost psychic ability to get like to receive downloads through your speech, through your cognitive process. That's probably why when you're doing tarot, things just come to you, right? Uranus, these lightning flashes of information where you're just like, how the fuck did I know that? Like, what just happened? Um, and yeah, so you're definitely about your money, and you're very blessed in that area. Actually, you even have Neptune in the second house, so that actually is very good for well, it kind of adds a real spiritual component to money, and Jupiter in the second house adds a lot of I call it the financial guardian angel. People with that, they're not usually they're not they don't tend to be here to learn the karmic lessons associated with money. And the sun, the second house people, yeah, just powerhouse, in that sense. But the key with the second house when you have a stellium there is, especially in Capricorn, it's like, yes, you're probably going to be fine in that area, right? Um, but especially with Neptune, and Neptune actually facilitates that process, um, in this house. It's just there's that need to not to not be too businessy, which I know you're not. Um, and to have like a kind of like a good balance of like the metaphysical, to understand the metaphysical component um of finances. And the second house is, it's internal and external resources, so having a balance between those two. So internal resources would be something like meditation, being able to rely, like being able to rely on yourself in tough situations, right? um Through whatever strategies and whatever you learn in your life, that's a value. And yeah, so I've seen the second house work out best for people when they do not overly indulge in the material and just allow that area of life to come, right? So yeah. um let's see. Let's see where we want to go. Okay. So your moon's in 11th in Libra. So, and your sun is 11 degrees, so you have a square of moon and sun, as I was saying earlier. So yeah, mom and dad, usually with that, that's usually pointing to a divorce. If it's not a divorce, it's just a very, very different message from, one from one parent to the next. And it can be very confusing for the child. In my book, I wrote about that, how it actually really took me sitting down and actually like writing about it, because I feel like it was very unconscious, a lot about it. Um, and it was interesting, right? Because you get to see just how different all that stuff is, right? So yeah, I would encourage you to do that. But what's difficult about that is that if we are a ship with two captains, our sun and moon are masculine or feminine, they're conflicting in this sense. So, the Capricorn part, obviously, I don't really need to go into sun signs here, but it's an earth sign. It's a cardinal's earth sign. And it's about solidity, right? All the Capricorn stuff. It is ruled by Saturn. So, it's very pragmatic and all that. Now, Libra is an air sign, right? So Libra moons are very, very good with people. They love anything social. And they love ideas. They love to discuss. They are great friends, right? And sometimes it's to their detriment. So it's extremely important for Libra moons to friends and partners, right? Like sometimes they can be codependent. And if there is any kind of wound with mom and dad, it's just really, really, really important to kind of get to the bottom of that as much as you can, because that will play out a lot in relationships. But the thing with Libra, you know, the thing with Libra is basically just really understanding, okay, what's my role in this situation? A lot of Libras, and I'm sure you've heard it before. It's just that, especially the moon, right? It's just that internal need to have everything balanced out, everyone happy, and sometimes they'll put themselves down in order just to ensure that the balance is kept in the environment, right? So yeah, and that actually, so like what's interesting is that the second house is actually very much linked to boundaries, right? So usually people that have strong second houses, they're good with boundaries. The Libra moon is not good at that. So two things can exist at once. One can be very good with boundaries, and then one can, you know, in one area, but then they can struggle with them. Like let's say that they're really good with those with their friends, and of course, all these things are required skills, right? And the fact that your North Node is in Libra too, you're really here karmically to be learning about diplomacy, and you have that thing I get with so many clients. South Node conjunct Saturn in Aries, which to me is like the karmic boss bitch or boss dude or whatever, right? Um, so North Node in Libra in the 11th is really, really, your North Node is like your where you're trying to get to in this lifetime on like a big picture level, right? So 11th house is the collective. And sometimes people, so there's an emotional need to help out the world, right? There's emotional need to be there for be there just like and a lot 11th house also I actually you're gonna like this. I see like some of the people that I envision as being like really important people in the spiritual tomorrow of the world have very strong 11th houses. Um and yeah, and also sometimes the 11th house, it takes a long time in life for it to build up to that point. Or sometimes like it's not always the case, but some people, although I feel like you've hit the ground running in your life, some people with that they don't really find their true purpose till later, but it's not all the time. Um, yeah. So the square between Capricorn in and yeah, in Libra is that Capricorn's an asshole. Libra's no, I'm joking. But yeah, Capricorn is yeah, it's Saturn. It's about, Capricorns usually have to really kind of go through restrictions in life, and they have to work very hard. They're organized. They don't really take shit from people. And then Libra, it's Venus ruled. It's more about, I mean, like, yeah, like Libra or Saturn and Venus cannot be any more different, right? So the key to dealing with that is to understand, to really like use parts work and to understand the differing, the differing needs of those two parts of yourself, right? Another thing about having an air and moon, right, is that yeah, air is very much like it's very good. Yeah, it's very good at seeing other people's perspectives. Libra moons are so good at that. And also, Libra is a sign of clients. So it makes sense that you would have really good relationships with the clients and just in terms of like, your work and the kind of social world you live in that requires you to be actually I love this combo for doing what you do because it can be very, very easy and you have no water, right? So you're a no bullshit person. Um, you're a pragmatic person. and you have very few aspects in your chart, right? Um, so there's not a bunch holding you back, right? Now, yeah, not many squares, not many oppositions. Look how empty like most of this is, right? Like, yeah, it's interesting. Um, but yeah, so Libra moons sometimes they can, or just air moons in general. Sometimes there's, and this goes with lacking water too. Is yeah, sometimes they can be there can be a lot of distance between them and their emotions. So like, let's say like, so they can just not just like sometimes just be like, what the fuck, why is this person so emotional? But like, also, um and so interesting. But like, what I was just getting at before is that, when you're working with this many energies, that gives you a natural advantage, to not be taken aback. It's more, air moons are more, uh, they're more, it's more mental with their emotions a lot of times. So like, I always say this example, like the same thing can happen to, let's say, a Cancer moon and a Libra moon, and the Libra moon might not feel, it's not that having an air moon makes you less of a, like, it means you're heartless. No, it just means you're not emotionally led, most likely, right? Um, which is good, right? And you're and there's no Neptune squares, so yeah, you're not you're able to see all the clients you see, and yeah, you practice energetic protection and stuff, but you're less, it's kind of just like, you can have someone who has all this water, and they're a great healer, but they can't really do anything because they just like get taken like just away by other people's energy, and it just destroys them. So yeah, that's good. But yeah, just making sure that you find that you're able to get in touch with your emotions. I say with people who lack water, living by water, going to Maria Negra, um, taking baths, just making sure you drink a lot of water, and just, yeah, doing things around water. It sounds weird, but, or simplistic, but um, it helps. And most people really say that baths are very good, or terme, that kind of thing. Um, mm, mm, mm. So yeah, in friendships and relationships, just so important to really just not to really think, okay, am I over, yeah, am I putting myself down just to make sure that everything else is chill with everyone? But yeah, the Capricorn will help with that for sure too. um Now, one thing I love about your chart is you have Pluto rising. um so yes, you're a Sag rising, 0 degrees, so that creates a lot of like, it just creates the importance of traveling, and of learning wisdom, and the idea of trial and error when it comes to those things, especially learning. And Pluto rising is an outstanding placement, because Pluto rising people are very obsessive people. Um, and also, I would say that, Pluto, it represents, like, it's the generational planet, right? So you're able to really, like it makes you a very, yeah, very, very powerful, like any strong Pluto. I feel like those people have like a sense of being, of really getting the collective unconscious of their generation. Um, but yeah, Pluto rising, it just creates this obsessiveness, right? So when you learn, when you get into something, like you can be a super hard worker. And when you find anything you're passionate about, you can research the shit out of it, you know. It gives you this extra energy reserve, which I know you have because you work your ass off, right? Um, yeah. So Pluto rising sometimes can be a little bit intimidating to others. Although, yeah, in Sag, it's going to be different than in Scorpio. Um, and yeah, they just have this extra power reserve. What else can I say? They can just go, 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 go. Yeah. So, what do you think, Mika? Mika, Mika, Mika. 29. Ooh, okay. So Okay, so you have Mars conjunct North Node, 29-degree Mars in Virgo. So yeah, let's talk about this karmic stuff. Pluto. So yeah, you have a lot of past lives where you've been a very powerful person, very independent, very powerful, very creative. Um, Although with Saturn, I always think that's someone who kind of restricted themselves, or like they were very, very successful, very, very powerful, but like they didn't allow other perspectives in, which is what Libra North Node, Libra North Node people are here to learn diplomacy, and it's really about finding the balance. So in relationships between Aries and Libra, the like codependent, like I can't live without my partner, that kind of stuff, that is Libra. Like the toxic type of Libra, right? That's like the extreme. It's on a spectrum. And then with Aries, um that is like the opposite, like independent, like fuck it, like I'm not gonna make any compromise. So it's about learning to make compromises. Esme, come here. Esme. Hi, Esme. You want to help me? Come on, Esme. Mika, you're such. Okay. So look at the chart. Tell me. Do your thing, Esme. Esme, the descendant doesn't matter. Look at the part that I'm supposed to look at. Esme, why are you looking at the descendant? Whatever. Was it birth type? Yeah. So yeah, I would say that like with a lot of times with the South Node Saturn, there's like a struggle around like self-expression. And come on, and sometimes people with that, they can feel a little bit shy, inhibited in groups. Um, and yeah, they're just used to being like karmically this really responsible, very hardworking, very capable person. Um, and yeah, just very hardworking, right? But it's like fine, and that's the Capricorn, right? It's so hardworking, but it's like, okay, what's the right balance, And there can actually be like physical illnesses that can come if there is that if the lessons aren't learned, right? And it's just, yeah, it's just about like the body, um and but like a big part of it is the type of work you're doing, right? So if you're doing spiritual work like you are, that's very good. and I think you get protected from those types of things as long as you're, also, having that balance in your life. Um, and yeah, I would say the interesting part about Mars, in Virgo conjunct North Node and Libra is that, yeah, there is that challenge of being, it's really, yeah, really finding that mix of diplomacy, tact, balance in your life, just in general. I think that's what it is. That's the word balance, right? But also with assertiveness, right? Where you're really focused on your personal goals, um, but still able to look at all areas of life and find that balance, right? Um, mm, yeah, it's kind of a tongue twister. It's kind of a difficult one to yeah, yeah, it is a lot of that, um, like Mars, which rules Aries, right, which is the south node. On the north node, it kind of, yeah, it's interesting. But whenever I see that, I always think it's all about balance for sure between those archetypes. Yeah, lots of North Node Mars are meant to be leaders also, meant to be leaders. Now, the thing so with being meant to, someone who's meant to be a leader with Libra is that sometimes they just need to be okay to kind of, step up and understand that some people are just fucking losers, and um I mean that in a judgmental way, but just to not allow anyone hold you back from where you need to go. And if that means cutting people out, it is what it is. Now, yeah. So I think with the Pluto ascendant, going back to that, there's just like this massive, it's just it's so powerful, but sometimes people don't see, like people will notice that person when they walk in a room. It kind of gives like a Scorpio, like a Sag slash Scorpio rising. For the Sag rising part, life is this big adventure, right? Um, but then yeah, with the Pluto, it gives like an intense kind of aura, right? Someone who really, yeah, very, very, very good leader, very capable of just really accomplishing their goals. And but then having Venus in the first house, right, is very nice. Um, Especially in Sag, Venus Sag, every single person I know with that loves traveling. It's not even an option. They just love it. Um, and Venus in the first house is very good. It gives a very, very nice aura. So you have this very interesting kind of like, it's good, it's very, very good for physical beauty as well. Um, and just I would say the word that comes to my mind is charming. I guess is charming for guys. I don't fucking know. Just like it just gives like a very, very chill aura. Someone who's really able to express beauty, and yeah, yeah, very calm, very harmonious, all that stuff. Um, in love, a Venus Sag really needs like I said, they value adventure, they value living life, like yes, the Capricorn is all about and this is what one thing I love about your chart is that, you have the Capricorn, right? But then you have this fun Sag energy, right? Your rising and the Venus. So this is the part of your chart that allows you to just go have some fun, to go, okay, I've worked hard, now let's celebrate, let's go here, let's do this. Um, and it's also open-minded. I love this placement. Um, a lot of people, I know your boyfriend is Romanian, I think. A lot of Sag Venuses I know are with people from different cultures or with people who they learn a lot from, right? Who might have like, there is that desire that, they really want to be able to have kind of philosophical talks and learn. But being a moon in Libra, the key there for love for moon in Libra is all about just quiet, balance, fairness. They hate fights, right? Libra moons just hate fights, hate drama. Especially with the lack of water, it's just like what's the point? What is the point of it, right? And I think that's dope. I think that's dope. Um, yeah. So okay, this is a really interesting part of your chart. So you have Mars on, in the 10th, close enough to the MC. So that is a real go getter. Um, yeah, that's a go getter aspect. Um, Now this is the thing. Mars and Virgo can be the hardest workers, but too hard. So I'm warning you, like, I know you work like crazy, right? Um, Mars and Virgo can be so I've actually seen this one work way worse with guys. Like my brother has it, and it can just create like the most nitpicky types of, like kind of just like a sticks in their ass. I don't know. Just hard to be around people. But like in girls, I've noticed it more for like it's very strong organizational abilities. Um, just yeah, ability to um yeah, just like really organize their life and their day to day in a very like yeah, very good way, very consistent way. Um, but yeah, they can judge themselves so harshly, and it's like the whole thing about perfectionism, right? 100 or 0. If I don't do 100, I should follow the 0. So it's like with every like this type of placement, I always tell you like each day, think of it about it's on 0 to 100, right? Some days you're only gonna be able to get 60. Some days it's gonna be 40. Some days it's gonna be 90. But like it's about having understanding. Like a lot of times Mars and Virgo with add the Capricorn, they might see themselves as here and other people as here when really they're here and other people are here, right? Um, yeah. So Mars and Virgo is a tough placement, right? Because when that person learns about self-compassion, learns about not taking it too crazy on themselves, that's when it can become a very strong placement as someone who knows, okay, I have this idea, I have this dream. Like I'm sure when you got into tarot, right? There's other people who might be like, oh my God, tarot, blah, blah, blah. No, you're like, okay, I know, like this is cool, this is interesting. What's step one? What's step two? What's step three? Like, what are the actual fucking steps to get there? Not like the BS fucking like steps, right? It's like it's really determined energy. And I always say like a high vibe um Mars and Virgo is like the person who I'd want to be is like my accountant, right? Just because yeah, like they're not gonna they're able to organize their life in that way. So yeah. Um and they tend to pursue their goals in a very like kind of practical, methodical type of manner. Um, but yeah, they can be like that placement can be very sharp and critical if opposed and kind of throw um yeah, like just like I've seen crazy just like Mars and Virgo notices everything, right? They notice everything. So let me see what they actually. Yeah, they notice everything. So it can. Sometimes I've seen this place and like think that their shit don't stink, like where it's like they'll call out, be critical about like everyone else's stuff, and then it's like you know about for themselves. Like, no, I'm perfect. But yeah, like I said, that's mostly been with guys. But yeah, it can be like a real flow killer aspect. Can be, right? Because you want to just like go with the flow, go with the flow. I don't sense this in you, but yeah, Mars and Virgo can be very much like yeah, just like stopping at every little thing, like criticizing, like oh, like they just see everything. So then sometimes yeah, they you know it can kind of break that flow that like for mutable people like myself, I just need to like believe that everything is possible, and there's such a hyper realism with that sometimes they can like miss out on kind of the dreaminess of life. But yeah, I mean, with your Kazemi, that's yeah, just that, and it's interesting because it's in Capricorn, your Mercury, so that gives you like this really good mix of right brain and left brain. So you're yeah, you're very similar to me in that sense. Interesting. Yeah, the retrograde. Yeah. Um. Ooh. Okay. So yeah. So going back to love. Mars and Virgo, they will like someone who is consistent, who is reliable, who understands the importance of organization. Now, with that said, love in astrology is like, you know, there's not any two signs, any two charts can work if the souls love each other enough. But yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. And then your Juno is in Aries. So that just speaks to, fifth house, like just it kind of goes with the Sag energy of like, okay, yes, there needs to be like the solid foundations to someone you're with, right? Like where you have that trust and you can there's not like these little fucking annoying ass things you have to explain. Like you, it's very well understood. And of course, they have to be smart. I mean, I'd imagine. Probably funny too. Yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah. Venus and Sag, that sense of humor is very important to them. Also independence in the sense of it's actually kind of interesting because you have Moon opposite um Juno, and yeah, so that just makes like relationships like provide a lot of emotional sustenance. And yeah, people with that they tend to like really nurture through just things like food and get-togethers and all that kind of stuff, dates. Um, and it's not just romantic; it's just like it's just someone who likes to give back. And sometimes they give more than they receive. That's common. So it can also play out in relationships where they can sometimes be the ones who are give, 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 and they don't get anything back. So it's really important to know about. Um, yeah. Mm. Yeah, I would say Moon opposite Juno, they tend to just like yeah, it's very, very Libra. Like they can like they do stuff with their partners. But like the thing is with Juno's like your ideal partner. So in Aries fifth house, it's someone that you can like have maybe even do creative stuff with, have fun with, laugh with, be in the inner child energy with, right? And you'll like them to be Aries is the independent sign, right? So it's like still being attracted to someone who can kind of like isn't overly reliant on you in that sense. That's typically what it is. But yeah, just like creative pursuits, having fun is very, very important. Also to house with parents or like kids, not parents. So a good co-parent also down the line. And yeah, June and Aries is also about needing a level of freedom in the relationships, in the relationship. And yeah. And sometimes what can happen is people with that Juno and Aries can actually attract dominant partners if they don't express their need for independence. They can actually attract like very dominant partners. All right. Yeah, so moon, as I was saying, like the moon square sun is the biggest. Yeah, well, there's three hard aspects in your chart, which is very little, right? Um, so yeah, it really is like the inner conflict between your kind of the sense of who you are, your feminine, your masculine, right? So like your nature, core essence, and then your emotional needs. Um, so it really like Sun Square Moon people, they have that chip on their shoulder a lot of times. Like sometimes they felt as though, they were kind of like misunderstood growing up, and they feel like it's like they're here to not follow dad or not follow mom, right? And it's just like learning to trust that feeling, that gut, and just be very assertive towards your purpose, right? Really, yeah, like really find your, as I said, find your own way in life. Now because your sun and your Mercury are stuck together, that means the moon is also square Mercury. And so moon square Mercury is, it can create some indecision, right? And that's also, the Libra moon can create some decision. The shadow of Libra in general is like when it's so hard to make its own decision that it just defaults and says, "Oh no, partner, best friend, you make all my decisions," because it creates too much stress. So it's really important for them, any Libra, to lean into that Aries, the opposite sign Aries, and find that assertiveness, which, North Node with Mars, you're here, yeah, to really find that. Um, and your Mars is at 29 degrees, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the final boss when it comes to Mars and Virgo, right? So getting past the shadow of that would be, not being overly self-critical, not being overly critical of others, and really using that energy to really push you to where you need to go in career, achieve power, achieve success, but then also have that good balance. But yeah, so yeah, moon square Mercury, it's just, it's a moon, feelings, emotions at odds with your thoughts and your the way you think and the way you speak, right? So um yeah, just the more you can develop those, that kind of like set of morals where you base all your decisions with the second house sun, that's actually a big part of it, right? Um, the internal resources, and you can base your decisions off of those, and then boom, things just make sense, and then you know how to decide based off of that. Now, okay, this is really important. Neptune in the second house, people sometimes they undercharge. Um, like yeah, sometimes they don't judge themselves high enough, like to a realistic measure. Um, so yeah, like I said before, it's about linking the monetary and spiritual values. But yeah, and then also when it comes to self-worth, they can be like unrealistic and have issues around that. Yeah, and then of course, Jupiter in Capricorn is a very go-getter, like it's just a very powerhouse, like success, money, professional status, recognition, all that. Um, And the key is to not second house is to not attach too much to the self-esteem with with money and possessions and all that. So yeah, really developing like that set of values is so huge. It's all over your chart. So what you can judge your own life and people around you. Around Jews. Yeah, so cool with the Mercury and Capricorn is usually the very like, wise and careful types of thinkers. So typically not the types that would be into tarot or astrology, but the retrograde does the opposite, right? So, it's really, yeah, it really is having the best of both worlds, the very rational thought and Capricorn, and then the retrograde, very different way of approaching things. Um, and yeah, like second house Mercury can be very good at earning money through the information they put out. Um, really good at coming up with like very like genius money making ideas. Now, okay. So okay, you're born 97, so your Saturn is okay, so 2025 August, I think, will be around that will be your the start of your Saturn return. Um, so you have Mars, yeah, Mars opposite Saturn. So people who have that, they tend to, and you have fifth house Saturn also. So a lot of times with that one, it's almost like this this been there, done that around being successful when it comes to like creativity in past lives. And it's like really important to take creative risks, but also to allow other people to be creative. And your Black Moon Lilith and Leo, that could also be looked at as the same thing, just like being able to not always have to be first place. Not saying that's something, that you do. That's just Black Moon Lilith is like our dark side potential. So in Leo, obviously the dark side of Leo is the narcissistic type of tendencies, um, showboating, taking more than one gives, which with Libra, it's not like that. And there's more I'll get into in a little bit, but yeah, fifth house Saturn opposite Mars on the midheaven is basically yeah, the more you give to people and the more that you allow others to kind of like with a Libra North node, you're trying to get good at working with other people, right? In past life, there's been such a gung ho like I'll do it on my own. I don't want help from anyone else. That you're in this lifetime, like yes, you're an entrepreneur. That's really natural, but it's important for you to also find other people that you can work with. Which, trust me, it's actually similar for mine, and it's yeah, yeah, I prefer working alone for sure. But you know, like just like kind of finding the right people, right? To connect with, groups of people, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, even the North and 11th house, it could be like that your destiny is really connected to a new community, a new type of. I don't like to use the word tribes. It just reminds me of really annoying white people from America. But like, kind of like a spiritual, yeah, just like some type of group organization. Whether it's something you start or something you join, or just lots like really finding like networks of people that you can align yourself with. Very important. Um, yeah. So Mars opposite Saturn, like oftentimes their best success doesn't come till after Saturn return. So you've already been really successful, but there's a lot of setbacks. And as a Capricorn, you don't always realize like how big of a fucking like go-getter you are, you know? Like how much bullshit. It's like you take 2 steps forward, the universe pushes you 3 steps back, that kind of stuff, right? 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. 4 steps forward, 3 steps back. And post Saturn return, that bullshit, 3 steps back, whatever. Now you're just going forward. I'm not saying there's not any setbacks, but you just it just gets so much easier, right? So some of the most successful people, this is one of the Saturn square or Saturn opposite Mars. So many of the most successful people have that. I'm not joking. Like it's because it's like you learn that determination and you have to put up with so much bullshit in the first 30 years and then shit just opens up. And Jupiter second house, I'm telling you, like that is the financial guardian angel. That is literally the placement of the person who I've said this to multiple people and they've been like, yo, this well, one person in particular, I actually called out exactly what happened to her. I was kind of like joking, making shit up. I was like, so you lose I was like, so you lose your job and then this random person hits you up, or not random, it's like your friend hits you up and says that their company's hiring, it's a better pay, better work-life balance, blah blah blah, everything's better, and then you just suddenly have a new really good job after 2 weeks. And this one chick was like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Like, all right, well, that's crazy. But I like, yeah, people I tell about that, I always say like, as long as you're not like crazy materialism, like only that, like fucking people over, right? Bad, like as long as you're not creating new bad money karma, which I know you're not, um, you're not here to worry about money in this lifetime. So like clients will come. Um, I would really just ponder that Neptune second house because I've seen that with different healers who, and I know you're in Romania. And I think we've talked about this a little bit. Now that I actually think about it, I forget what you said. Sorry, just mentally retarded. Okay. Yeah, and I know that and actually, honestly, you're doing the best thing possible because that's actually going to that North Node in 11th house. You're helping the collective, and then you'll get to a point. And I think you're aware that like if you were in a Western country, for example, or like your market was like you know more Western, you charge a lot more. It's just that it's the currency here, right? But yeah, I intuitively like what comes to me is like I feel like what you're doing, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and that this is part of that opposition of Saturn Mars, and like just keep grinding, keep doing your thing, and the Saturn turn's gonna come. And because you're Capricorn already with this hard aspect of Saturn, oftentimes the Saturn turn isn't as challenging for people who have Saturn in their chart, right? So things kind of just start to work out, right? Come together, random shit. All right, hold up. Yeah. So yeah, I could definitely see you being like a big business person in the spiritual world, like or like someone who's like a very big spiritual entrepreneur. I see that with like the series Navesta and the second in Cap also. But yeah, remember, it's all always about bringing people together. Also, that's another big thing, bringing people together. Wait, what the fuck? Are you serious? My fucking video has been off that how long? Oh my God, what the fuck? That's bullshit. The whole point of that was to have my video on, or should have the chart on. I have no idea how that was. fucking annoying. That's really annoying. Okay, well, it is what it is. Yeah, so yeah. 11th house moon. What else can I say about that? Yeah, it also makes friends, like friend groups really, really important to you, acquaintances, all that. But the moon, so it can also make like friends like very interchangeable because it's the moon and so it goes up and down. Um, Also 11th house moon, sometimes they can get a lot of their emotional well-being from friends. So it can almost be like just like yeah, too much of their happiness based on friends sometimes. Um, but yeah, like I've seen that like kind of like friends like moving on or they're moving on, just like lots of different types of yeah, like people with that like tend to like kind of go through lots of different friend groups in life. But they tend yeah, they feel very safe when they're surrounded by like, warm and loving friends and Libra. So it's yeah, very about, love and balance and all that stuff. And they can also, benefit a lot from like having like a lot of acquaintances and be very good networkers, all that. And a Libra moon, so I always say it's like even a very deep person, right? Who's a Libra moon, they get a level of emotional well-being from like small talk even. They're just like, very kind of basic social and like relations, right? They just like people. They just like talking to people. But then the Capricorn part doesn't. So but yeah, the Sag part does. Okay. Part of fortune 29 degree don't go there yet. Okay. 12th house Chiron in Scorpio. So that is interesting. Chiron in the 12th house is really, really the spiritual healer, but usually they suffer from like very deeply buried wounds in their deep in their unconscious, so they have to really go and find that. Um, it can even be spiritual pain, but it's like through their exploration of that pain that they are able to find themselves as a healer, right? And it's in Scorpio, so sometimes with that one, there is, I've noticed that that one can bring sexual trauma, not always. It can create a fear of getting close to others, like truly, truly getting close. Um, what else? But it's very, very good for mysticism. And yeah, it just makes it come so naturally. And I see a lot of healers with this, right? So yeah, like with dreams, imagination, intuition, all that, like that is, and that's through your Mercury retrograde, right? Um, that's what really gets you connected to this. And it's very good intuition, very great for intuition. Um, yeah, very high karmic goal in this lifetime for sure. And yeah, and Scorpio, what else can I say about that? Mm, I mean, so it's yeah, it's Chiron is ruled by Pluto. So yeah, I mean, it's like through your pain that you go through this deep kind of like death, rebirth, transformation, regeneration, whatever you want to call it. Um, Sometimes there's like some type of death crisis early on with this, or like some yeah. Um, like close encounters with death, fear of death, and a need to explore death. Um, yeah, sometimes, mm, yeah, like sometimes like around the Saturn return. I don't want to say I hope this doesn't happen, but some people with this experience a loss around them. But I've seen that a few times, but I've also not seen it a lot. And also like like when I say loss, when I say death, I don't mean that physically. I mean that energetically, right? Like for example, um in my Saturn return, my best friend since I was super young isn't dead, but he's dead to me, right? Like he just like married some crazy chick who turned him into a Jehovah's Witness. And then he just like somehow like cut off everyone from his life, and it's crazy. So that's like an example, right? Um, so also there's some level of like past lives having like been really high, like good in these areas, but them having been like a bit taboo in the culture. So now you have this freedom to really be in this energy in this lifetime. Just diving into that healing work, right? And yeah, and really developing those spiritual values. And if one with this represses, avoids like these types of problems, it can, or not problems, avoids these types of of really going into these powers, it can cause health issues. So yeah, it's really important to embrace this energy and kind of give it that expression it's asking for, which you're doing. Um, Also, Chiron and Scorpio, there can be like pre-birth trauma sometimes. And yeah, like I don't know, it's just like I've seen so many people who are like these spiritual healers. Um, and also yeah, like Scorpio is like that real intimate relationship. So like the most intimate of intimate types of relationships. So I've seen how pain can come from those too. But it's all about confronting that shit. And so yeah, more on the North Node Libra, like it's like, yeah, like I said, cooperation, working with people, and like the Aries South Node sometimes, yeah, it's my way or the highway, like not, so it's like about like taking in the opinions of other people and just like yeah, developing that selflessness, right? And like really learning about that kind of like um other people's kind of like sometimes Aries like the shadow of Aries, right, can just be like not caring about other people's emotions or like how they feel. So yeah, the Libra moon is very good at understanding how they're affecting others around them. Okay. So yeah, like I said, Uranus third house, very like yeah, quick thinker, original thinker, super smart, as I said, and this gives you like a very like eccentric, um, very unique way of seeing the world. Well, like studying unusual subjects, um, willing to take the road less traveled because you don't have that insecurity that so many people have about their intelligence, right? And also, if you have siblings, Uranus third house can create like a kind of interesting, unique relationship with siblings. All right, so I don't know if there's any cancers in your life, but Vertex, in Cancer, yeah, it's actually really good for like it makes you like very good with the public, but also Yeah, really, really good at like tapping into the public mood. And um yeah. And eighth house like vertex, so it's like the doorway to higher awareness is through these like very like kind of like evolutionary death rebirth transformation type experiences for you. And yeah. Sometimes vertex and cancer have to like, withdraw from others and have alone time once in a while, although you do lack the water in your chart regardless. So that might not be that big, but yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Um, let's see. Yeah, Palace in Sag was really, really good at seeing the big picture, at you know, just being able to like kind of like detach from emotions when needed. Like I said before, sometimes you can like defy like the kind of conventional male female stereotype. And yeah, Palace and Sag is also just being, yeah, like I said, like just seeing the big picture and being able to kind of like play your move like a game of chess in life. Um, the midheaven and Mercury, or ruled by Mercury. So yeah, I mean, you could be someone with two different careers, or who changes careers, immutable midheaven. Also, it's with the nebula, which is like one of the like astrology fixed stars. That's dope. Astrology slash like the esoteric occult. So that's really interesting because midheaven rules your career. Part of portion 29 degrees, third house, Aquarius. So yeah, that's like kind of like your flow state. So that just makes you just love giving back and being there for yeah, very humanitarian, being of service to people, and just being nonconformist. And then third house, just like the need, yeah, just like kind of communicating and learning and networking and talking just gives you joy, being able to talk in your relationships. Um, yeah, the more you can develop your higher mind and different like kind of ideas of your kind of overall ideas of truth, the better. Yeah, sometimes like the black and with Leo, fear is fear of change. So sometimes people put too much of their self-esteem to like what they achieved, and like the integration is coming from understanding that like allowing things to just kind of go with the flow and change, that's growth, right? And yeah, maybe you can't always be that number one, as I was saying before, like be the leader in every situation. Just being able to like bring people up, I think it's super important with that placement. Not always having to be number one, and really sometimes people with that placement, they think they're the one giving, but they don't realize how much they're taking. But this is just a dark. This is not a part of your chart. This is literally a potential. So it's like it's like one like it's just like something that can manifest. But it's not a planet. It's not an actual, part of you. All right, let's see. She, of course. So you have the one of the three witch asteroids, Lilith, on your Mars. So yeah, there you go. Ooh, and you have Psyche on your midheaven. So oh my God, and you are crazy. You have two of the three witch asteroids, Hecate right on your midheaven, and fucking Lilith on your Mars and North Node. So you are literally, that's like two out of the three. Um, all you need is fear check. But yeah, I mean that's already crazy to have two out of three. Um, because it does only work when they're like in tight conjunctions. And then Psyche on the midheaven, that is super interesting. Hold up, I'm gonna find what did I write about that one again? It wouldn't, yeah, because the asteroids. Okay, here it is. Yeah, so it's like very much like very self-taught, intuitive. So like being able to kind of like have those yeah, like those connections in your career, like very self-taught learner. Um but yeah, very, very, very like intuitive. But the whole idea of being self-taught and like, just being very, very in tune with yeah, with like kind of like the spiritual type of work and this like very getting to the depths of the human psyche is something like, that's a big part of your work, right? So just like yeah, intuition playing a large part in your work. And yeah, Hecate, like so when I say which asteroids, just look up Hecate, Lilith, Dirce, and read the first article that comes up. And like it's just like, of course you have that, right? Of course. You have Lust rising. My girlfriend has that. So Lust, this is like the sexy asteroid. I swear I've seen this correlation for my own research. Um, like people who have that asteroid, they they just like have this like sexual magnetism. Um, I've seen it to the point where they have stalkers and shit. So yeah, that like I always say, there's beautiful, sexy, hot, and cute, right? And I would say lust is definitely yeah, and just but like what's interesting about lust rising is that it can like so let's it can make someone like feel like they're a lot hornier or what am I saying? Look like they're a lot more horny or a lot more sexual than they actually are, which can create problems, right? But yeah, I mean, it is one that I've seen be quite pronounced. Okay. Um. Oh yeah. Also, you have Mercury and Neptune conjunct. I didn't talk about that. That is really awesome. That gives like a great talent for music and creativity overall, and it actually gives you like this really, really that actually helps you out with the lack of water. Um, and yeah, actually people with that are like are very, very attracted to kind of the spiritual path and studying anything related to that, kind of like yeah, like I think esoteric occult. Um so yeah, actually with your chart it's really, really good because Jupiter makes everything bigger. Neptune is mysticism, spirituality, the divine. So that's really dope. Um and yeah, like your Vesta and Capricorn, just like lots of importance placed on structure and order, lots of personal ambition, and very good for entrepreneur, like to have that like that you know what I'm talking about? That you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's self-discipline that you need. Okay, so you have Urania on the IC. So that is the astrology asteroid. So you have a lot of these mystical ones. And then yeah, and then the nebula is also on your midheaven. So and Hecate. So which yeah, Psyche, that's crazy. Okay. Mm, all right. Well, that is it. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy. Feel free. I always love when people write me reports. I know you're busy as fuck, but like when it's just a good exercise when you get a reading like this to just you know, write something and kind of just like the takeaways and what I was right about, what landed. Also, okay, one other thing is you have Uranus and Neptune trine your sextile your south node, like in a positive relationship with your nodes. So that means that you have taken over a lot of your intuitive powers from past lives. Oh, that's really dope. That's really dope. Wow, yeah, it's really cool. All right, nos vemos. Ciao.